Hello. I've got kind of an important message today. A little different than most of the videos I've been doing. Um, at an unusual rate, cops all across the country are taking early retirements. They're turning in their badge like never before. You take a large city like New York, the police department there, I saw a while back they had like 350 early retirements in 1 week. It's happening all across the country. I'm familiar with a medium-sized department in mid-America. They have around 800 cops, and I just heard firsthand last week that they're getting 5 to 10 early retirements every month. And then here's the problem. There's no new applicants. Nobody wants to be a cop anymore. I wonder why. So with what the press has done to law enforcement, with everything that's gone on for the last year, I guess, getting close to a year, 7-8 months anyway, with these so-called riots or peaceful protests, however you want to look at them, and the abuse that the cops have had to take. And they've been assaulted, they've been killed, they've been spit on, they've been ran over by cars, you name it. And then the press demonizes the cops. Well, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? If you go back before all this started, maybe 6-7 months ago when I first started doing videos, you'll see that I was trying to recruit cops before there became this crazy movement to defund the police. Whatever. I feel really strongly about this, obviously. But if you go to any major city, I don't care if it's Milwaukee, Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, Houston, Dallas, Kansas City, you name it, they're seeing a very high rate of early retirements. And like I said, there's no one coming in to fill those slots. They're not lining up to get into the academies like they used to. For all you men and women that signed up to protect and serve and have that in your gut, you've got to be devastated. Fortunately, I retired just before this insanity started. But it still affects me. My whole family's in law enforcement, or has been. Many of them are deceased, but this bothers me. But I've got a suggestion for some of you guys that are leaving. And if you're not a cop and you're watching this, but you know a cop that's going to do an early retirement or wants to get out of the big department, why don't you think about a small rural department somewhere across the country? Get away from the big mass populations. And what I usually hear there is, well, they don't pay anything. Well, the pay might be half what you're getting in New York or Chicago or Dallas. But the cost of living is probably less than half of where you're living. So if you took that equity out of the home that you've got in this big city and find a small department, where the population might be 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 even, you're going to be surprised at the difference in housing and just cost of living in general. And yeah, the pay is going to be less, but the benefits are very similar. So that's my message for today. And I would, again, strongly encourage anybody watching this to pass this on. Share this with other cops. And if you're not a cop and you're watching it, and you know a cop, again, pass it on, please. This one needs to be shared. Of course, I would hope for my like and subscribers. Still coming. I appreciate all that. But this is really bugging me. You may think in your back of your mind, well, who wants to live in Mayberry? Well, people my age look back on when we grew up, and That's not such a bad lifestyle compared to the fast pace of the big city. And I've experienced both. So that's really about all I've got to say. I know for a fact that Superior, Nebraska, right in the middle of the country, needs a couple of cops right now. And if you're certified in another department, in another state, and you move out of state, go to another department, most academies, most of the post organizations, the police officer standards of training, accept the training and the certification from other states and other departments. Now, sometimes there's a reciprocity program that you have to go through, so some training, but it's limited. You don't have to go through a 14 or 16 week academy. It's something you can do fairly quickly, most of it online. So that move is pretty easy to make. I did it. I retired from Colorado Springs and I moved to a small community in Nebraska, and getting recertified in Nebraska was very easy. So if you hired on and you've got it in your gut that you want to protect and serve, and it's a devastating movement to leave law enforcement, think about a small department in the middle of the country. I really, really encourage anybody that has law enforcement in their soul, and they've wanted to be a cop all their life, and then to experience what's going on now. And who wants to put your life on the line? Who wants to kick in a door, even if it's legitimate, legal raid? Look how you're treated if anything goes wrong. It's a nightmare. And then we've got all these attorneys lining up to crucify you, basically. So what I would say you'll find in a small community is you get to know everybody. You can protect and serve people that you know, and you have respect, which you've lost in all of the big departments. Now, there's some fine departments across the country. I've worked with a lot of them. And just because someone makes a mistake or there's an occasional bad apple doesn't make law enforcement evil. 99% are good cops, like I've said many times. And if you're one of those that just wants out of the big insanity of what's going on in these big departments and big cities, think about a small community. Get on the internet and start searching. Just put in the police academy probably of any state, and you're going to see a job listing. I know in Nebraska, if you go to the Nebraska Law Enforcement Training Center site, there's a job listing. And there's probably 15, 20 small departments needing cops right now in Nebraska. Like I said, I know Superior needs a couple. So look up Superior, Nebraska. Ask for an application. You'd be surprised. And it's a much better life than you've probably been living in the big city. So if you want to protect and serve, again, after leaving the department, a big department, you can still do that. Mayberry may not be so bad. But you've worked awfully hard for one of these. We all did. Don't let what's going on right now ruin your whole career plan. You can still be a cop. You can still help people. You can serve your community. But just do it in a small department. And you'll find that you probably get farther ahead because the cost of living is so much less than in the big cities. You'd be shocked. Can't think of much more that I've got to say. I'm just sick of watching the press and attorneys go after law enforcement. So you have to take things into your own hands, and that's what you need to do if you're thinking of leaving a big department because of this mess that's going on. Get on with it. Have a good day. I'll see you again. Don't forget to subscribe, like, make comments. I love the comments. I read them all. And let's keep this country going. We can't defund the police and do without law enforcement. They're going to be needed forever. Have a good day.